Hello everybody, Keith here again. The original plan was to do 2 plants today. Two of my Zygo types, but I've decided, having looked at them before I decided to really go for it, that I'm only actually going to do 1, and I'll come to that one in a second, and I'll explain why I'm not doing this one. This is Zygopetalum cranitum. It's the only species Zygo I've got. I bought it from Burnham's at the Welsh Orchid Festival a couple of years ago, and it's done extremely well. Most of these growths have grown for me, and we've got 3 at the moment. We've got 1 there. There's a little one coming up here, just started, and there's 1 there. Never flowered yet, but I don't think it's going to be long. So why was I thinking of repotting it when it's only been done about 9 months? Well, it's in Westland Orchid Mix, and it's a mix, commercial mix, that I'm going off more and more. The problem is it's not the mix itself. It's a mixture of a medium to small bark and ceramis. So it's good for plants like these, in theory at least, that like to be on the moist side. Things like this, and I've had some good results with oncidium types, but I've also had very bad results. I've lost a number of, say, Masdevallias this year. I'm not doing very well at all in the Masdevallias. I can't say it's this definitively. I'm not that scientific. But the problem with it, from my point of view, at least my experience, I'm not saying anything else about it, it's just my experience, is that there's a lot of fines in it, and it's very difficult to get rid of. So you put it in as normal, pack everything down, everything's fine, you pull the water through, and it washes these fines down into the bottom of the pot, and you can end up with a layer of very fine material down here that stays wet for a long time. And basically, for most orchids, the roots just don't get there, it gets completely packed down, no air, turns foul, and your roots have gone. So you end up with everything up here sitting on a soaking wet substrate. So I thought, well, this is one of the few big ones I've still got in Westland. You know, perhaps I'll do it. But it's obviously reasonably happy. For a start, we've got roots right the way through to the bottom of the pot, and this has all happened since I've repotted it. We've got roots down here, look, all the way through there and here, and you come right round the back, look, and you've got that. So I am not going to disturb it. You can start to see this packing in here. I don't know how well you can. There's a little bit of reflections I can't really get rid of. I don't know how well I can get rid of that. See if you can see it any better. No, I don't think so. But you can start to see there's a lot of fine material in here. You can perhaps see it. There's some of it there, look. So it's one I've got to keep an eye on, but at the moment I don't think it needs actually doing today. So the one I am doing today is this. This is the first Zygopetalum I've got. I got it as an out of flower plant off the scrap heap, very cheap, looking very, very poorly, from a garden centre for about £1.50, and it's always done well for me. Always has. You can see the size of these pseudobulbs that I've actually grown. I mean, look at these, really big pseudobulbs. But I repotted this in March last year, and we're now in January 2023. And the new growth it put out was doing quite well, and then it just went black. So it's the first new growth it's put out since I repotted it, because it doesn't grow that fast. And although everything else is looking reasonable, I've got something wrong. Now, this is not Westland, this is my own bark and moss and perlite mix, just something I've knocked up, and no doubt you can go back and find the video where I did it. But this is not right. It's like some of the others that are damp. I don't think that the vast majority of orchids like to be wet all the time. There's a number of them, things like these, things like Psychopsis. People say, oh, they love moisture. And I would not disagree with that. You get some plants that you can let dry right out and some that you don't. This is one that you tend not to, or you only let it get barely dry. But you don't let it stand wet. Because you've always got to remember that these things are epiphytic, and therefore the roots don't stay wet, or they're in an airy sort of thing. Even when it's damp and high humidities, the roots are not enclosed in this kind of thing, and they're not wringing wet all the time. So I got this mix wrong, and I'd rather fish it out, find out what the problem is and do something about it, than let it all get completely wrong. So let's see how we get on. I don't think I'm going to lose it. I can see roots all the way down again, but I'm just not happy. So I want to at least get it out and have a look. Yeah, it's not that bad. We've got roots coming down this side. Roots on this side are pretty much gone. But you know, we've got some old pseudobulbs over here. Now, they're still firm, but they've got no roots. And I think that because I don't want to put it in a bigger pot, but in that one, this was rammed right up against the edge of the pot. That may well have helped damage the new growth. So I'm going to try and get as much of this lot off as I can without damaging any more roots than I have to. But you know, we've got roots that are being damaged. Roots going back into the inside. All the good roots are coming down the outside of the pot. So that definitely implies that I got this badly wrong last time. You know, there's far too much moss in that for my conditions. For other people it might be absolutely perfect. For me, no, it's not. So I'm going to have to get these. I'm going to have to be quite careful about taking old roots off, and I don't take some good ones off as well. Just going to go through it in the normal way, and I mean, you might say, well, you got this wrong, Keith. Why are you going on about it at great length and showing the mistakes? Well, to me, mistakes are educational. If you get things right, that's great. But if you get things wrong, it can be at least as educational. I want to take the last back bulb off. So I'll take the next one off as well. I don't want to take too much off. I'll take that one off as well, I think. That's better. That was looking a little bit grey, and that one looks white. So I think those were dying off anyway. So that will mean that which is just going to want some cinnamon on it, will help. I don't like whacking off too many of these roots and old pseudobulbs and things. I've done that before, and the plant's really thrown a bit of a wobbler. Hasn't been very happy at all, as if I've killed off some of its reserves that it was using. So you've got to be a little bit careful. Unfortunately that's no good. So we have got roots coming off relatively recent parts of this plant that are not very good, and that isn't usually the case with it a zygo. So definitely got this wrong. So I've ended up I'm not going to start trying to drag all these bits of bark off the roots. If they're that keen on being there, that's fine. Can that come down a pot size? I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Right, back again. I've had a ferret through my pots, and I can't find one that's any better than the one it came out of, so it's going to end up perhaps a little bit big for it, probably not too much, I hope, but I'll trim that lot out. What I'm going to use this time is Burnham's medium bark, which I hope will be better. I'm going to put a handful of coarser stuff down in the bottom to start it off and try and give it a bit of bottom drainage, and then I know what I haven't put any cinnamon on that cut. Do that, I don't, because the chances are this is going to end up buried. Zygos tend, this one at least, tends to climb, so the chances are at least part of that is going to end up it end up buried. Normally I wouldn't advocate burying pseudobulbs. Certainly if you've got a psychopsis, don't even think about it. They have to be on the surface. That's another one that doesn't like to dry out completely, but if you get a pseudobulb on one of those that is even partially covered, even very, very slightly covered by the medium, it will go black almost overnight, and there's a fair chance you'll lose it. I've had that. Now luckily, if you see that happening and you scrape the media away from it, it won't go any further. It will stop. As soon as you see it going dark, do something about it, then you'll be okay. But zygos don't seem to be bothered by it. So we have got a buried pseudobulb down there, completely out of sight. I don't think that'll be a problem. I'm just putting this into a medium bark. Hope you can see the sort of size it is by my finger. It's sort of what would you say? Probably up to 10 millimetres across, shall we say. 10 millimetres, half an inch, depending which part of the world you're from. And that should retain a bit more moisture. There's more surface area, so if we assume that the moisture clings to the surface of the bark, then there's more surface area for it to stay. So this should give it plenty of moisture after I've watered it, but then it should allow it to at least partially dry out. Now this time of year, with it over here, with it being cold, there's a lot of plants that aren't using the moisture they've got, so I'm having to be much more careful about watering. But with this, I just don't think it was happy. So all I can do now is put it back, and we'll see what happens. So this is my Zygopetalum. Came as a no ID. It's been identified. Well, actually, it didn't come as a no ID. It came as a thing called sensation, and there is a Zygopetalum sensation, spelt with an S-C-E-N-T, sensation. But this is actually Louisendorf, which is a common hybrid. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that's been of some kind of interest, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.